Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. This review was suggested by Ben VANESSE. Thanks, Ben. And this film is 1971's Vanishing Point with Barry Newman and this 1970 Dodge Challenger. This is a steelbook edition and it has all the specs of the car. And it has a license plate on the back. And this is a really nice Blu-ray print, way better than the DVD. It's really been cleaned up. This is a film I saw, it was featured in BBC Two's Movie Drome series with Alex Cox. So I probably first saw it maybe 30 years ago. And it had quite an impact on me and I've loved it ever since. This was made in 1971 and it probably wouldn't have been made without Easy Rider, which was made in 69 I believe. But to me this is a far superior film. I think Easy Rider gets a kind of lot of credit just because it's got Peter Fonda and Jack Nicholson and Dennis Hopper in it. I think this is a far superior film. It was directed by Richard Safarian, who also did Fragment of Fear, which I recently showcased on a pickup on the Indicator label. And again, if you're cynical you could say, well, this is Easy Rider in a car instead of motorbikes. But I think this is a lot deeper and a lot more existential than Easy Rider. Maybe because I'm the Solitary Ronin, I prefer this because it is a man in his car essentially. It is one of the great A Man in His Room films, along with Taxi Driver and The Samurai and The Driver. But it just so happens that Barry Newman's room in this case is a car, a Dodge Challenger. It's essentially about a guy, Kowalski, who just picks up a car to drive from Colorado to California, and he has like a day and a half or 2 days to get it there, and he just drives full pelt along the way. Obviously getting chased by the police, and there's a radio DJ played by Cleavon Little called Super Soul, that I really should have the t-shirt of, which I do have. And he becomes the Greek chorus, he becomes essentially the narrator, because obviously just filming a man in his car, there's not going to be a lot of dialogue. And he becomes a kind of personality as people hear about him evading capture and people start rooting for him, obviously as a symbol of freedom. And it ends in a similar way to Easy Rider, but I feel in a more nihilistic and fatalistic way. The characters in Easy Rider find their end not by their own choice, whereas this, there only seems to be one way out for Kowalski. I'm not going to spoil it completely. And again, it's a film about the death of an era of the 60s and of freedom. It is noticeable that as he goes through states, obviously the police chase him, but only up to the borders, whereas he can go wherever he likes. He's not constrained by geography or whatever. and the police are. It's got a great soundtrack from the 70s, which I need to pick up, but unfortunately it's quite rare. So please, if anybody knows where I can pick up a copy that's not 50 quid, or I've seen ones at like £200, because it does have some fantastic late 60s music. Along the way, we see flashbacks to Kowalski's previous life. He also meets a guy who lives in the desert, who collects snakes for a local church, revivalist church. He bumps into a kind of hippie couple, one of which is a girl naked on a motorbike, who pretty much offers him free sex, but he's really not interested. He has a certain goal and he's going to follow it. The film starts essentially just before the end, and then goes back to the beginning. So it has a kind of nice setup of what might happen at the end, and then it goes back to the start. For trivia fans, Primal Scream did an album called Vanishing Point, and this was what the album was named after. And the band Audioslave, whose lead singer was the late great Chris Cornell, their video of Show Me How to Live was essentially the four of them in this car doing their own version of Vanishing Point. This was, I haven't actually seen it, but it was remade as a television movie starring Viggo Mortensen before he was famous, and they changed the ending very much like the George Sluizy US remake of The Vanishing. Must be something about films with vanishing in the title. They changed the ending, and they also gave Kowalski a reason for trying to get to California so quickly, which to me isn't really the point. We don't need to know why he wants to go there, he just does. And again, it's just, this one's more existential. And more criminally, they changed the DJ to a white guy. Also, this is 1971. It's like 3 years after Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Cleavon Little's radio station is in the middle of nowhere, and as he supports Kowalski, his radio station gets attacked by a mob. So again, like most remakes, that whole racial dynamic is just completely missed out. They change the ending, and they give Kowalski a reason, or more explicit reason, for trying to get to California so quickly. But this to me is just such a great film. I mean, it's not perfect, but this Blu-ray edition is spectacularly a nice print. It's just stunningly good print, so I do advise you to check it out. And if you like films of the 70s, it's a quintessential 70s film, but again, it's about the death of, the 60s, and it really is fairly nihilistic, which again is maybe why I like it so much. There is only one ending that can happen, but even when it does happen, it's quite shocking. And the crowd of onlookers who have gathered to witness the kind of cult hero that's Kowalski, even they're a little bit baffled at the end, and they just kind of all drift off. So it has a little bit of foreshadowing of the whole celebrity thing, and people who become notorious not really for doing anything special particularly. In this case, just driving a car. It's a great film. I'm probably not really doing it justice. It's a really good kind of hypnotic performance by Barry Newman. Obviously, he doesn't have that much dialogue, but his eyes are just shot so beautifully. The car's shot, lots of wonderful close-up angles, and it's just a great looking film. Dean Jagger makes an appearance as the man in the desert, and again that's a whole kind of mystical, kind of metaphysical section. It's definitely one of those films that's truly cult, but again for me, better than Easy Rider, even though it's heavily influenced by Easy Rider and probably wouldn't have been made without Easy Rider. But yeah, Vanishing Point, one of the best films, probably my favourite film that features a car. Sorry all you Herbie fans out there. But I do, if you're interested and you haven't seen this before, I do recommend getting it in Blu-ray, because the difference between DVD and Blu-ray is astronomical. I mean, I know a lot of films, there's not that much difference sometimes between Blu-ray and DVD, but this one is definitely worth an upgrade. So let me know in the comments below if you've seen it before. Let me know what you think about it in regards to which one's better, Easy Rider and Vanishing Point. And leave a like or subscribe if you wish to see more random reviews. So this is the Solitary Ronin. Thank you very much for watching. This has been a random review of Vanishing Point.